According to Daniel chapter 1 verse 1, what two kings and kingdoms did we find in conflict? That's right, the king of Babylon and the king of Jerusalem. And then according to Daniel chapter 1 verse 2 through 7, what was it that the king of Babylon attempted to give the captives after their long journey, and why? Well, first of all, he gave them food from his table and drink, rich food and wine, and he gave them education for 3 years, and then names. We talked about how the identity factor was tied up in those names. Why was it that he gave these nice things to them? It was actually to win their hearts to his way of thinking and the Babylonian culture. But in Daniel chapter 1 verse 8, we found that Daniel had already given his heart to God. The word purpose is the same word for to give in Hebrew. How is it that you give your heart to someone? Well, we see that in verse 8. Daniel stepped out in faith, made a request for health food, and God granted that request. A cook appeared to provide the food and drink, food from seeds and water, and then he stepped out in faith again and helped the cook have confidence in a 10-day test, and at the end of the 10-day test they looked better physically, and that provided a scientific study. Then he stepped out in faith again for 3 years along with his friends at Babylon University, and God gave them grace again. They tested this time 10 times better, not just physically but also mentally. Why was this? Because instead of following the king of Babylon, they had followed God and chosen his food, things from seeds, his drink, that would be, of course, the water. And then, of course, they had not only responded to God's education, they provided new scientific study to educate others. And as a result, at the end of the time, the king, when testing them, didn't use their Babylonian names. Instead, he used their Hebrew names, Daniel, Azariah, and Mishael. And all those names end with an L ending, which means God in Hebrew, or Yah, which means the Lord. So amazingly, at the end of it all, they proved that God was the one that had their hearts, and God honored that. They had excellent physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and they also had a social network that was provided, all by God. Now in this program, you stepped out physically. God has given you grace, provided cooks and food and education here. You've continued to step out in faith, and perhaps you've lost weight, seen your blood sugar, blood pressure improve, and your mind is cleared. All these things because you stepped out physically. And what would happen if you stepped out spiritually? What if you gave more of your heart? Why not move from the disappointments in your life to God's appointment and give your heart to God today?